Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you and welcome to the latest in our series of Doha debates sponsored by the Qatar Foundation. The bitter divisions among Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza show little sign of being healed. A deal worked out between them last year in Saudi Arabia proved a spectacular failure, since when neither Hamas nor Fatah seem ready to compromise. How damaging are these divisions to the hopes of Palestinian statehood, to their daily life and their ability to conduct a peace process with Israel? Questions that our motion tonight is designed to address. This House believes that Palestinians risk becoming their own worst enemy. We're speaking for the motion Akram Baker, an independent political analyst. He co-founded the Arab Western Summit of Skills, a body designed to increase efficiency and transparency in the Arab world. And with him, Munther Dajani, a professor at Quds University in Jerusalem and director of the Issam Sartawi Center for the Advancement of Peace and Democracy. Against the motion, Hind Khoury. She is the Palestinian Delegate General in France and a former Minister for Jerusalem Affairs. And with her, Saree Makdisi, who's Professor of English and Comparative Literature at the University of California, Los Angeles. He's the author of Palestine Inside Out, An Everyday Occupation, and he's the fourth member of our panel. So now let me first ask Akram Baker to speak for the motion.
Thank you, Tim. I support this motion with a truly heavy heart, and I'm going to keep it this very brief. The fact is that public enemy number one for the peace process is the Israeli occupation, and there is no getting around that fact. The problem is that we are truly at risk of becoming our own worst enemy. That has happened because the Palestinian leadership has dropped the ball, has taken its eye off the goal, which is to end the Israeli occupation. They become caricatures of themselves. We need to look deep inside ourselves, some honest and open and constructive criticism, if we are going to somehow find a way out of this mess. It really started in 1998, and I have to look at this, that the PLO failed in transforming itself from a revolutionary movement into an efficient government, which was a big problem. We were looking that they would build transparent institutions. We were looking that they would build efficient institutions. What happened is we found that they slowly began descending into the spiral of nepotism and corruption. And I know this because I moved back with my family from Germany, where I was an executive at Daimler Financial Services. And I moved back with my family to Palestine to help build, to play my small role in building an efficient Palestine. After 5 years, I was forced to leave by the Israelis. But that is not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is the risk of becoming our own worst enemy. I witnessed the destruction of our institutions by the Israelis from the outside and by the corrupt PA from the inside. I watched Hamas become, they're dilettantes. I watched them being played by the Iranians, by the Syrians, in the same way that Fatah was played and continues to be played by the United States and by Israel. How the left wing of the Palestinian movement has been played by European NGOs. They were all bought off. And all of them have lost their focus on what the real goal is, and that's ending the Israeli occupation. And if we do not take an honest look at ourselves, if here in this motion that we are at risk of becoming our own worst enemy, we will fall into that nightmare, and this risk will become a reality.
Akram Baker, thank you very much indeed. You say that the Palestinian leadership has dropped the ball, given that they're subject to random targeted assassination and that large numbers of them are actually in jail in Israel. It would be remarkable if they hadn't dropped the ball, wouldn't it?
There's a lot of things which Israel is responsible for, and I'll say that again. But the fact that we did not
But which ball did they drop?
They dropped the ball of ending the occupation, and they just started.
How were they supposed to do it when they were facing the daily pressures from Israel?
That is their job. It is their job as the leaders to face
Well,
this
if they're
pressure.
running for cover or they're being arrested, aren't you expecting a little much from them? You've got to operate in the real world. Politics is the art of the possible,
that's right.
isn't it?
Tim, we all know that. But the fact is that if we cannot help ourselves, no one is going to help us. The Israeli occupation is our enemy, and we have to see it as that and not look for them for VIP or some better treatment.
So what should they have done? What's the recommendation? How could they have kept the ball instead of dropped it? How could they have built institutions when people were missing? When people were dying?
People
were in jail?
Unfortunately, have always been dying, and this